and we reached out to them that they would respond to say, hey, we want 15% of $400,000. Like, so that's kind of, I would think if you were looking at an $80,000 bill, you'd be reaching out to us.
So for clarity, this money that we could potentially get would come into the coffers of the fort.
Correct.
Okay, now it wouldn't go to an individual.
It would be like the PPP.
Yes,
It's
okay.
exactly, except it's under different.
And that money,
parameters.
Yeah.
and again, for clarification, that money's not gonna be, it's gonna be clear.
There is,
We're not gonna
so
be-
this
Yeah,
is
there's
not
no
like
debt there,
PPP.
so-
This is not a loan that you then have to file for forgiveness and show that you did have actual revenue depletion. This program is based on,
It's more like a tax
well,
credit.
well, it's based
For
on
employees.
disaster declarations. So where this company will specifically work is to find a disaster declaration by a county official, a state official, or a federal department that inhibited our business, that we were then able to keep our employees despite our business being inhibited by a federal declaration, a state declaration, or a county declaration. So there is a lot to like making sure that we qualify for this program. And that's why we need someone who is specializing in this.
What's the name of the company?
Jorns.
Jorns Investments?
It's just Jorns is there. So we work with them on benefits for our employees, and they've had like a 30 or 40-year relationship with the fort, working through those programs. So they're very familiar with our employees and how many. Obviously, they came to us because they thought, one, we would qualify based on what they know, and two, they know our employment situation.
So we work directly with them.
We work directly with them currently.
Okay, I didn't catch that in our
we've been working with them.
correspondence.
Yeah,
I don't know what I
And
remember.
actually, their representative's been working with us for 30 years.
yeah. That representative that we specifically have the same account rep for the last 30 years.
Okay, didn't get that out.
It's in the-
And there was another,
I believe Julie reached out to someone, or we put.
That came from him. Yeah,
Okay.
it was just another example.
I did look into other places. There were online sites where you could download the forms and fill them out yourself.
There are a
and
lot
like,
of them out there.
yeah, there's a lot of like
Yeah.
fly by night. You know, fill out this form, pay me $900, and you know, good luck. That's when we're talking north of $300,000, I want a sure thing. That's.
So now, right now, we need to approve $2,600 to go forward?
It's $2,600 that if we do not receive the funds, will be returned to the fort. So, yeah,
And then we part of the credit of the 15%.
it will move towards the 15% fee if the funds are acquired from the government.
Do you agree?
Do I have a motion?
I move that we set aside we pay the $2,600 deposit to have Jorns begin working on this for us.
I second it.
All in favor? All right, we would like to consider the approval for volunteer research of membership emails, etc. for Concierge Plus.
We're trying to get all of our membership into one database, which we're looking at 1,800 different members that we need to try to get emails, addresses, and get into the heads and everything else. We do not have the staff to be able to research this all as of right now, so one's not going to do it. We need multiple people on this if possible.
And this is very, very important, and I'll give you a little, and we talked a little bit about this at the annual meeting. 2 years ago, when I ran for the board, I sent out letters to everyone who's on the membership list, which anyone can acquire a membership list by going in and paying the fee to have it printed. On the first day, I received over 30 letters back in my own mailbox because we didn't have the proper mailing address for an account that we have on the books. This year, we had a total of 19 ballots returned, the entire election period. That's a pretty stellar job that our staff was able to do. So we're well aware of what they can and can't do, and I think that we've evaluated that this project is much larger than what we can handle and continue to run the daily operations. So if we can get some volunteers, this is a very, very important task. Yes, ma'am? Sorry.
Would it be possible to identify 1 or 2 people per unit that would
even be
actually
better.
go around
That would
those
be-
units?
That
That
would be
would
the ideal situation, where we can get somebody in each unit who can work on getting the census on each one of these units.
I'll volunteer for 37 because I haven't seen some of my neighbors in a really long time. On my one free night.
Now, what do you do with the people that are going home to the cooler climates now?
I
Well, we
think,
should have addresses and
Yeah.
connect them. We need to have, you know,
Well,
numbers no matter what.
ideally, someone that's more acquainted with the Winter Texans in the RV park and spends time with them, who is a resident, would take on, much like we have had here in Unit 37, to say like, all right, I'm gonna reach out to the Winter Texans, and here's who I've been able to contact, here's who I did try to contact, and this is where I come. So this could really be a community organizing effort to really help the port move forward from a data standpoint.
Do we have to redo the
We,
census again?
we have the ability to send out information, whether it's on email, text, or phone. But they cannot get their information or get on Concierge Plus unless they have an email address. But we can text stuff, but we just, we're sitting in a place, a lot of people don't have email addresses, but we do need a way of getting a hold of them.
The volunteers are gonna put it into the system, or they're gonna collect the data?
Communicate, or just collect the
A piece
data.
of paper with
See,
a name?
when I first came here, I started going through and getting a database, because Black System does not give us the ability to sort according to units and alpha and address. We've gotten that down, but that's all on Excel spreadsheets that I prepared a year ago. Now we need to transfer that information over to Concierge Plus, so that we have an accurate information because it has the ability to send out flash information to any unit, but we just have to get that done.
So I think the reason for I'm sorry if I cut someone off, I heard something.
That was me.
Oh, go ahead.
What information would you be sending people out to gather specifically, and what, are there privacy concerns?
That's the reason for we have to approve the ability for the data collection, in the sense that it is working with membership data. I think the only thing that would be produced originally would be a list and an address, which can be,
That's it.
There's
nothing that's,
there's no membership data as far as where you are on your
Or anything like
assessments,
that, right.
what
Well, I
property.
heard animals, so I was like, are we asking them to do?
well, yeah.
Well, eventually, but so what we need is the gateway. Once you get the email address, you get on the system, and then all those things become an open, that we can start collecting that information.
So basically mailing address and email address, or just the
Yeah,
email?
contact us.
Yeah. Some way to open the door. You have to have an email address to access Concierge Plus. Once you're in Concierge Plus, then that would be where you would start to fill in the gaps.
We get calls for welfare checks that we don't have any idea where these people are, how to get a hold of them. So we're knocking on doors, we don't have the proper address, we don't have the proper name. And so this is more of also a safety issue, but, okay, who's our next of kin that we get a hold of? Things like that. We need emergency numbers.
Sir, I'm a renter, would I be?
Renters would be in there as far as we're working on the membership people that own it, but the information has to be on there, who they ever rented to, and their emergency numbers also.
But I could be a volunteer.
Yeah,
And I think that we've started encouraging the property owners to come register their tenants to help with that process to start getting. But your question is specifically, if you are a renter and can you volunteer to help do this? And I don't see why not.
because there's nothing classified in there.
Yeah,
Well, the approval, it'll be on an individual basis anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
so do we have a motion to allow Mr. Peterson to enlist volunteers?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? How about it? That's your first one already? Thank you for stepping up. And the idea. Oh, two. Oh, and Wanda, thank you. All right, the Post Theater and the Service Club repairs. Let's talk about these independently. I know that they're in the same agenda item, but we'll discuss them independently. So let's do the Post Theater first. Adrian, do you want to start with that? Sorry, I waited till you were about to sip your coffee.
That's all right, that's all right, I can do both.
Go.
Oh, okay, well, what I failed to mention earlier, keep it as brief as I could, especially specifically on the Service Club, the best way to inspect these windows is to go inside, which is what we did, and open all the windows, because a lot of these problems with the sills, you really don't notice that much from the outside. So that's how we discovered the worst of these sills. Primarily on the east and north sides, like I mentioned on there.
Let's see the Post Theater first.
Oh, sorry,
The
okay.
marquee
All right,
and-
okay. Well, my concern was, I'm seriously worried about the of the marquee on the Post Theater. And there's a lot of, there may be a lot of unseen damage there. I hope there isn't. But one of the things that I'm going to be doing this summer, even though I failed to mention earlier that this will be the last formal meeting of the Preservation Committee, we're taking our summer hiatus, so there'll be no June, July, or August meetings. I will, however, be following both of these jobs all summer, because hopefully that's when they're going to be taking place. But the marquee on the theater, if you just look at the condition of the ceiling of the marquee, that tells me there's a whole bunch of water that's gotten into that marquee from the top side. That's the only way you could have that kind of damage. So when the ceiling is removed, the old ceiling is removed under this proposal, we would definitely want to inspect the structure, mainly the roof. He's going to inspect the roof of the marquee anyway as part of this proposal, and fix any obvious leaks that he can find. But we're going to only really know for sure what condition the structure is of the marquee once we get that ceiling down and can actually see it. And I'm going to be there when that happens.
And I have a question to that piece right there. I see that the total project is estimated at just under $3,000. How much do you have in reserve, in the sense that we get in there and we're not talking about $3,000 yet?
Well, I still, right now, I don't have a current number on from preservation as of, say, the end of April or something. But even with the old numbers we had from March, I still have $12,000 left.
Okay.
After both
doing both
projects.
of these
I
jobs.
was gonna say, I thought it would be more than that.
Yeah,
29,000.
Yeah, because I thought you had about 29,000.
I figured we had somewhere along there. Yeah,
So
just
3,000 and then
Yeah.
3,000 and 3,500. So, yeah, I don't want to bite off more than, you take off one piece of wood and now you're replacing a whole wall. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I on the theater, I'm imploring the board to consider the fact that there could be some serious liability issues here you know, if we have one of those antique light fixtures fall on somebody as they're walking into the theater. And I don't know what, they're beautiful fixtures, and as far as I know, they still work, that are in the ceiling of the marquee.
And I just want the board to be aware that, you know, in the event that we open something up and there's not enough money in the preservation coffers, like, we're gonna have to make a decision like rather quickly. So we just need to keep that in mind as we're evaluating these projects to go forward.
FYI, about 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, a guy that was using a U-Haul truck slammed into that thing.
That's what I've heard, because it
And-
hangs out over the street.
Yeah, slammed into that thing and busted a bunch of the bulbs, and there was an issue of trying to get those bulbs because the type of bulb they needed.
Right.
And if I recall correctly, they only replaced, it wasn't, only the bulbs, the outside part was, so there's a very good possibility there's something might be also additional stuff there.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine, I'm no structural, I'm no construction expert here, but I can't imagine it running more than what preservation has to fix what's left in there. There may be, we may be in for a very unpleasant surprise, but I don't think we can afford to wait
No,
and see what happens, you know, if we don't fix it.
I
Or don't
agree.
see at least what we've
Right,
got. We
right.
need to know what we've got there.
So maybe someone from the crowd will know better than I do. I was focused on other things 20 years ago. But I believe that there was a grant working through the Historical Society for approximately $48,000 that was given to the theater, and that's how all of the inside molding and whatnot was done. Have we gone down the path of working with the Historical Society to see if that grant or a program like it is still available?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that. Russell Noel would be the person
Okay.
to ask about that, actually. Yeah.
Right now, he's requesting that we approve the $3,000 to start. That's what the issue is.
Yes, to do the work, yeah.
I would make a motion that we approve the $2,980 and the check request for $1,490 to get the work started.
I second
Can you, yeah, go ahead. Do the second. All in favor?
Thank you. Okay, well. so
I'll
you
work
go the other
to,
one?
no, I'll work to get you the information on that grant
Okay, thank you.
before. That way, you know, for the future, I just know specifically that the Post Theater fell into some category of, you know, the stars aligned and we got the money, so I don't.
Maybe we can get that money for something else.
Other things in the Post Theater,
in the
right,
theater.
right. I just know that this property, for whatever reason, fell into a category or someone liked it and we were able to get quite a bit of funds for that,
it.
so.
It must have been more than 20 years ago, because I never seen any, I don't remember any construction being done inside in the last 18 years.
And I've been waiting to ask this question
Sure.
since we're moving to the service club. I've put in windows before, and what I call a window sill is the 3/4 inch piece of wood that goes from the outside to the inside on the window box,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Is that what you're saying, calling a
Well, right,
window
and
sill?
there's some places, I just call them sills because I'm, like I said, I'm not a structural expert, but some of the holes are like quarter size.
Wow.
I mean, where the water, you know, if there's any, they're slanted outward and downward like they're supposed to be for drainage from the outside. But if you got any wind blowing at all, sometimes, yes, some part of that is actually, it's either underneath the window frame.
Sash, under the sash.
Yes, right.
So my question is how are you going to be able to repair only the outside of the window seal when it's all one board?
That's a good question. We're gonna fudge it just a little bit because
Well,
this stuff
yeah.
has to be done to protect the outside of the building,
Well, I would think
the
that,
siding on the outside of the building.
I would think that if the material goes from the outside under the inside of the building, we really can't parcel it out, so. Because you had said that your money can only be used on the outside.
That's
But,
true.
I mean, this is all one and the same, so.
So my
Well,
question
most
is,
of
does
it's-
the board start on the inside or does it start on the outside?
I would
Well,
say,
since they have the money, it starts on the outside.
Yeah, since they have the money, then the board starts on the outside.
Let me explain it. Most of these really bad places are on just outside the windowsill. And it's where water has dripped down, and I don't, for whatever reason, it's corroded or rotted out. The holes in the sills. And most of them, you just can't see them clearly from on the ground. You know how things will. You have to go inside and open the windows to fully appreciate the condition of the sills.
The full window box will be repaired, is that correct?
Well, no, just the sills. Actually, there's nothing wrong with the windows themselves or the frames.
the sides.
It's, yeah, the sides are all right. There's nothing wrong there. It's just the bottom, the sills.
There may be rot underneath those sills, that's gonna have to be checked too, there may
Yeah.
be structural.
Well, that's true, and if that happens in enough of a situation, then we'll probably have to have another proposal, you know.
Well, you
If
gotta do it all at
because
once.
this,
Yeah,
well,
I can see,
we'd like to do it all at once.
I
yeah,
can see opening it and finding rotted 2x4s underneath
Right.
those windowsills. But I would remind the board that we have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain the common property, and if that's what they find, then it's our responsibility to come up with a way to pay for it, inside or out. So-
And I would also go back to our treasurer's report. This property is your number one moneymaker.
That's
So,
what started all this.
yeah, it's your number one moneymaker. We've already invested 8,500
Air conditioning.
For the
in air conditioning. So, significant investments already been made here. And I think that's a good point, Robert, that just like I talked about on the theater, if we have to, we just have to be ready to step up to do the rest of it.
And it's the first thing that we see, and when you come on the court.
Yep, that's right. Yes, sir.
By definition, based on what Robert is saying, by definition, what is the window structure? Is it an inside structure or is it an outside structure?
It starts on the outside.
That answers the question. The whole sill is outside.
That's all.
The money starts on the outside, the window starts on the outside.
That's right.
I would ask that you consider doing all of the windows, not just,
And that don't be inspected.
right, they all need to be inspected.
They have been inspected, but now, there is some minor damage on some of the other. In fact, there's probably not a sill on there that's perfect when we look at the paint job, the finish on it, But if it's got a decent enough paint finish on it, for now at least, we've decided just to not to limit it to the worst sills.
Historically, was there ever a gutter on that roof?
Good question. I don't really know. I don't
Because
think
you're-
so.
You're talking about water running underneath, which the only reason that would be a problem based on the way historically they did things, there had to have been a gutter up there.
Okay, well, again, it would have to be historically correct gutter.
Was this
Whatever that is.
Was this a concern on your application to the historical commission as far as the ability to receive the discount from the county and the school district? This was on there.
Exactly.
That is very, very relevant, and let's make sure that in the future that
These are the two worst buildings regarding the inspections to get the tax break. Two of the worst. The theater, it's close to being in the red, believe it or not. And it's mainly because of that marquee, I suspect, but.
is it in the red? Do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand.
Okay. Yes, sir.
As far as grants, et cetera, there's 2 grant writers in town.
Yes.
They work for the county. Do they look into grants for historical buildings?
My conversations with them, as far as other things go, is that anything that they can help with within Kenny County, they are more than willing to take the time, whether it's on county time or after hours, to help us write grants. So I'll also put you in contact with them once I find the grant that we procured before.
Now, Travis, the other thing is that both of those buildings are in federal historical district.
Are they on the National Register?
I believe so.
Yes, the whole court.
I think the 6 buildings.
The sign out there that says it's a historical district, you know, coming up right near the, I guess it's right near the NCO club, that designates part of Fort Clark as a historical district. And that was, I believe, done federally, not state.
So do we have a motion on this, and then we can start to look into these other things, because there's a lot that we,
Travis, I have a question. You mentioned that there was a grant that was given for the Post Theater with a historical.
That was years ago.
Yes, but who's historical? Russell's with the.
Russell, so Russell's group, and I don't know that Russell was a part of it then, I mean, I'm sure he was.
Well, I
but-
just wanted to make sure it wasn't
Yes.
King County.
No,
because
no,
I
no.
don't know anything about it.
I could be making this up, I do dream things sometimes, but I'm pretty sure it happens.
It did happen.
Yeah.
I can't the man was on the board, and I can't remember his name. But he got the grant, he wrote for it, and he got it. And they repaired the interior of the Post Theater.
Yeah.
So, and it is an historical building, it has a marker and everything. So if we don't keep it up, we'll lose that tax discount.
So just for the documentation going forward, like once we're all said and gone and people are trying to figure out what we were trying to do, let's make sure that in these proposals that we designate that we have an issue with the historical commission, you know, like we're gray or we're, you know, wherever we are in the grading process, so that we just document so that people understand later on, we don't have to recreate the wheel. Yes, ma'am?
Grants can take an extended period of time to get written and most definitely to get approved depending upon the time frame. So I would suggest that we check to see with the historical, Kinney County Historic, to see where we are so that we get these for both the Post Theater and for the Adult Center, or sorry, for the NCO Club, that we get those repairs that need to be made, done now through preservation, and then you can go and do further and more with the grant afterward. But our most immediate concern is our tax write-off on it.
Right.
So even though you want to look at a grant for the Post Theater, definitely do that. But let's get the most immediate repairs done so that we have that tax preference before the grant even comes through.
Right, and many of these grants are moving to a situation where they want to know what you've been doing. They don't want you just standing there, you know, saying, so this will help no matter what.
Well, the theory behind these buildings, all 6 of them, they almost all, I think they've all got markers on them.
Yeah.
That's one of the definitions of why they're in this historic district and why they qualify for tax breaks. But also, you want to remember that we can't spend all of our money on just one building. We have to spread it around, and everybody thinks, well, we got a lot of money right now. Well, that money can go, we start finding unseen problems like y'all just discussed. That money's going to disappear in a big hurry.
Yeah, that's what I want to do more
That's
than,
why, yeah.
more than 2 at a time.
Yeah, but for the same reason, we, like I said, we have to spread this around and we have to fix just enough on the buildings to keep the rating up.
Yep.
And to buy us a little time, you know, until we can do other things.
I would move that we approve the $3,500 for the total cost of the project and the check request for $1,750 half to get the work started.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All good?
Is that good? I mean.
Yeah, no, they were good. Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
now, the service club, everything's all right?
Yeah,
with
those
that?
are done.
That's
Yeah,
both, okay.
both are done.
I would just like to add though, if you get into it, you're monitoring the project and you see like all the 2x4s are rotted under the window boxes, yeah, we need to know that immediately.
We need to know
I will,
immediately.
yes, I'm gonna be following, with MK, yeah. I noticed that on the marquee, there's a couple of big chains that are, I'm sure, integral to holding that marquee in its position. They're welded into the building, right. And this building is what, I found this out with all the minutiae that you read about it. It's one of the only building probably in the historic district, probably on the fort, that has a steel frame, that type of building anyway. It has inside of all that nice stonework is a steel frame.
Really nice
Which
to
is
know.
very unusual for that time period.
Yeah, really, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have the approval of the sale of the Nissan Xterra. I believe this thing,
It died.
it died.
Second parts?
That's what we're-
It's basically $500 scrap,
Is it 300 or 500?
Well, we were offered 300.
300, okay.
Offered 300. I think we started at 1,000 and we
Yeah.
were.
Nice try.
Well, yeah.
It's
Gotta go for broke.
2005, is that right?
And-
They remember.
And it was, and this is one that's like wrapped in,
This is the one that was wrapped. We've already taken everything off.
Okay.
It says it's
Thank
Fort
you.
Clark, so if anybody fixes it, it won't be running around.
Good.
This is one that went down right when I first came here because poor maintenance.
Yeah, the water in the oil, possible blown peg gasket, work heads, or cracked engine block.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a motion?
I think the exact things were, it's smoking. Well, go ahead and drive it back. So
Motion that we sell it?
Accept the offer.
Accept the offer.
Yeah. All in favor? Yeah. Okay, so today is the Border Bash out at the golf course. If you can attend, please make your way out there. Thank you for being here. And before you go out there, yes, we have. So we have one person volunteering that's helping us go through documents. All of these documents are not where we think personal items for the board are. So they're going through boxes and boxes of documents and categorizing them into the different categories, whether it's in reference to this or this or this, organizing those so that first we can decide we only need 15 copies instead of 27 copies of every contract that we've ever had, and then also digitizing those so that we don't have to go through this process again. So Chris Race has been doing this, and I think she had a question about maybe for some of the members who've been here over time. So I'd just like to open that up.
Anyone that's been here forever, do you know where originals of permits, contracts, that type of thing are? Where I might
Maybe we
find
don't
them?
get any answers here in the room, but
you can let me know or let
yeah, if
Travis
someone
know.
on YouTube sees this, or Mr. Herman,
Contracts for what?
anything. I mean,
Okay, I found the permit for the pool, I found the permit for the reservoir, the pond. They're copies. I've seen copies, but I'm not finding an original.
I would
Okay.
think, where we are, what we are, who we are years back, it's probably stuffed in the drawers somewhere.
That's what I'm finding.
we're pretty good at looking at drawers, so that's.
That's fine, I just
stuff
added
ever
some stuff to
recorded?
the list to look for.
If
Yeah.
it was recorded, it should be in the courthouse, right?
Well, yeah, we're looking for originals.
Yes.
I mean, we have over 40 filing cabinets here.
They're there somewhere.
that we have
And I'm
no
going
idea.
through about
I've gone through
6
about
of them,
10.
7 of them.
And I've cleaned out some, but I mean,
And they're not labeled, and all we do is order another one and put it next to the one that was, so they're.
and we probably have at least 10 filing cabinets that are just copies of 10 other filing cabinets.
Yeah.
So it's not real confusing.
I found a diagram of par 3 on a piece of paper in the bottom of a file drawer.
Did you,
Alan needed it.
do you know where the membership files are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which ones? We have 3 different types.
Well, I'm talking about the ones down by where Gabby is.
Yeah.
Okay, I think if you look in some of those, you'll find contracts for things that you may find separately other than in the members file.
Okay. All I need is
That's
permission to
what we-
do
that's-
whatever you want me to do.
Right, and so when we're working with Chris, we're specifically relegating like what her duty is, and anything that is HR related or anything that has to do with membership is like immediately turned over to the HR director and taken care of. So just to
Now, me and my wife were years ago, before Colbert and previous boards, Sandy and I were going through every single, because I was on the board, so, you know.
And see, some of these may
I was
be
going-
upstairs.
Yeah, I was going
I mean, we
through
have
all
no
the
idea what's
files
up there.
to make sure that there was, the
in
paperwork
right
was in there, with the contract for when you became a member, and yada, 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 yada. Supposedly, there was supposed to be contracts or permits from CCNR work, you know, it
Yeah.
was supposed to be in there.
We found them.
Yeah, but
She
there's
found
also other cabinets on both sides that, you know, you'd have to really go
Okay.
through them all to find out.
All right.
That's a good start. So, thank you.
Yeah, so anyone has any information, who should?
Yeah, you can
Who should
reach
they
out to
send that
Julie.
to?
Yeah, reach out to Julie and we'll get that
Okay, and then
information.
Julie,
to
you
Chris.
can slam me and say, okay, go here, go there, go whatever. Okay,
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
got it.
Just a couple of questions before y'all go into session. When the repairs are finished on the pool, are there plans to purchase water if the springs aren't full?
No,
No, ma'am.
Is there any way that this, from year to year, can be considered in the budget? We live in an arid region.
there's no possible way you can afford to pump, to purchase water for that pool and be safe about it. Pool water has to be circulated 4 times within 24 hours, even in a swimming pool. There is no possible way, physical way, that can be done down there by purchasing water.
Last year, water was
That
purchased.
doesn't mean it was done right.
I'm saying previously, water has been purchased.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And
We
it should
have
not be.
previously done several things across many operational aspects of the fort, and they necessarily were not done properly. And it's our hope, and it's actually, you know, that's our commitment, and that's actually our marching orders from the membership, is to do things that will protect not only the fort, but the membership.
And it
And we
was-
just,
I realize the
It was not
liability.
purchased last year. It has not been purchased since I.
Then, okay, then the year before. I think it was purchased twice,
Yes,
Linda.
ma'am.
I believe so.
Something like
Yes.
that.
In 2020,
Yes.
yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay, while we're talking about repairs, and I have not been down there and it may have been done, before you open it back up, make sure the depth markers are repainted.
It's being
If
done.
they're not, that's a big liability. It's been done?
It's all being done.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, I would think the pool may be on a historical register since it was built by the WPA. Is there any way to get grants for the pool?
So Chris Hale and his committee, the Lost Morris Restoration Committee, have received over $40,000 in funds that have already gone towards the pool. So they are very active in looking for all the possibilities to find grants and private funds. And actually not one fort dollar has gone towards the actual pool structure since June of 2020.
But we are footing the bill for the spring.
Yes.
For the spring, the association is putting the bill for the spring side of the repairs.
Also, I think if the records are correct, the pool is in the historical district.
I believe that's correct as well. Yes, and they've been using all those avenues to try to procure funds from both private and federal, or private and governmental agencies.
Okay, one more question. The activity director, I don't know if he's here or not, I haven't met him.
No, it's not here yet.
But I volunteered for a committee and we had a meeting set up and then it didn't go through. So is there any word when that committee might be meeting?
I haven't talked to him since I've been around
He
this.
had an emergency, a sweet family emergency, so he'll get with us.
Okay,
I'm on the committee too, so.
good.
Yes, sir.
Did you want a report from Mark?
Yes, if you have one.
I do. There's 2 variances that have been submitted to the board,
Yes.
the Yandell and the Shitty. There's been several violations that we're working with security. that's been voted on. I don't have a count on that. There's 8 permits since the last month, and we're still looking for volunteers. We only have 3 committee persons, and if one of us missed for whatever reason, it puts a backlog on it. One other thing is that when these applications are given to the membership, can we please stress somehow that they need to complete the information? There's a checklist. What's happening is that we're getting them, and then we gotta table them or approve pending. So if we could get that, instead of just handing the application to the member, tell them to make sure that they fill it out properly, it'll speed up the process, so we don't have all this stuff going back over again the following week.
Give it back to them without approval, they'll.
Sure, well, I think we have that as a discussion item for the executive session. So thank you for the report, we appreciate it.
You're welcome.
One more announcement, please. Kenny County Arts Council, or any of you guys that are gonna have grandkids here in June, we have an art camp from June 20th through the 24th. It's going to be held at the Episcopal Church. Gonna be a lot of things going on with these kids, ages 6 to 12. Everyone's invited, so if you've got your grandkids here, bring them.
So, and I'd also like to thank Friends of the Library for bringing Saul Paul out and working with the Texas Commissions of Performing Arts. They were able to procure an artist to come down, well, was going to be in the amphitheater. We had an operational issue, and thankfully we did, because we moved it over to the pool area that was nice and shaded, and I thought it was a great success. We had several people out there, a lot of organizations, so many thanks to Friends of the Library and everyone who volunteered, especially the 501c3s that came out and had presentations for all the members that showed up and all the guests that came. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
May I make an announcement?
Yes.
Summer meals program will be at Kids Cafe this summer for all children 18 and under. It will be Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 12:30. There's no charge. So if you have your grandchildren visiting, be sure to bring them down for lunch. And that is sponsored by South Texas Food Bank and then also the Texas Department of Agriculture. And there's no charge for children. We can't feed adults, but we can feed children.
Where is that at?
I'm down at Kids Cafe, which is right next to the Hope Center, across from the library. Okay, thank you.
Travis, some of the.
Do we have anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
I apologize for my ignorance, and I do not, this is the first meeting I've ever been to. So in regards to, I don't know if I'm in a closed session or open session.
Yes,
but I
sir.
don't know if I'm allowed to address the community of the board in regards to what I'm trying to accomplish.
You may address the board and the membership.
Yes, sir.
Just as a point of reference, most member issues are held in executive session, so there probably will not be any response from the board in this session, but you are on the agenda for for the executive session, which we will correspond with you then. But we just, as a policy, like the board doesn't comment on membership issues in front of the membership. But you're welcome to address.
Okay, well, yes, I'd love to. Thank you. Sorry. And I promise to be brief. Good morning, everybody. My name is Pedro Cardenas. I'm the 7th and 8th grade math teacher here at Brackett Independent School District. I've been part of this wonderful district for 5 years as a teacher. My wife has also been here. She's a first grade teacher at Brackett. I moved out here in 2009, and I was a math aide at the time as I was trying to get my degree in teaching. And I am in the process of trying to move to the fort, and I commend all of you for all your hard work and efforts. I know some of you on a personal level, some of you I do not, but I can honestly say with attending the first meeting, It seems like it's going to be a wonderful community to be a part of, hopefully more. I am in the process of trying to move my family part-time here on the fort, as far as we live in Quemado, so we commute on a daily basis to and from to work, and my kids are part of the community, and I try to volunteer as much as I can. I heard Ms. Watkinson already volunteer for Unit 37. I'm hoping I could be maybe part of the Unit 15 and help volunteer with that. But in any case, just kudos to everybody. You mentioned Saul Paul. We had our elementary choir go out there and perform, and I just think that being part of a community, it takes all of us to make it as wonderful as it is, and I look forward to hopefully becoming a more permanent resident here. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to add to that. Even though Mr. and Mrs. Cardenas have not yet moved on to the fort, while they were clearing their property in Unit 15, a neighbor came over and said, "Are you being paid to do this?" They were doing some tree trimming and things like that. They said, "No, I'm just doing it on my own." He brought his own equipment and everything in. And the neighbor said, "Oh, well, I've got this problem." What was it, a tree?
Yes, growing through one of her eaves and
Tree growing through one of her eaves. And he went over and took care of her. And didn't know her from Adam. And that's just the kind of neighbors that they would be. So I don't know how many other people are here from the fort, or from the school, or from Unit 15 who are absolutely here to support them as well. But we just thought we'd throw out some more things for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Johnny Castro, Mr. President, Mr. Peterson, members of the board, members of the association. I'd like to speak on behalf of an associate of ours, Mr. Cardenas, and his family, trying to get moved onto the fort with a mobile home that they would like to move here. They have put in an application to have it approved. It went before the architectural committee and was approved after a personal visit with one of the committee members, that it was in pretty good shape, outside and inside, and only to be denied by the board here. Mr. and Mrs. Cardenas are a great asset to the Brackett Independent School District. They not only teach their classes, but volunteer their time just about every day after school for tutorials, some Saturdays. They sponsor events for their grade level classes. They sponsor dances. They're coaches of the Little League field teams. I mean, the list just goes on and on. They're just unselfish with their time and effort to the district and to this community. If they were approved to move on to this wonderful installation of the fort, they would be a great asset to the fort and their neighbors. And if they should find time to contribute to any of these committees here on the fort, they would be another wonderful asset. If we don't get this, yes, sir.
1 second. Excuse me. We have someone addressing the board. Ms. Burkhart. We're having a hard time hearing both.
Sorry.
No problem. Please continue, sir.
If we don't let this go through the board, we run the risk of losing these wonderful teachers and the great asset they would be to the district, based on the fact of the feasibility and affordability that they are continuing to live under this particular situation. So any ifs, a lot of ifs that you can throw out there, I think this special case and special circumstances should far outweigh all the ifs that you would consider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brett Locke. My wife's a teacher at the school, and I just wanted to say the same thing what's already been said. The Cardenas family, I've seen them here regularly till like 10 o'clock at night on school nights. And we would just hate to lose them in our school community. They are just a positive role model for the students that we have. It's hard to find teachers that are as dedicated as they are. And that's all I wanted to say is just as far as maintaining their house and home on the fort, I have 100% confidence. The house looks fine. It's in great shape already. I know they would maintain it, and I don't know how they have time to go down and live in Camaro. I think they'd probably be here most of the time. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lau.
I'm Vincent Valdez. I am on the architectural committee, and the Cardenas came and without getting to specifics, I'm the one that volunteered to go to Quemado and look at this mobile home over, took pictures so the board would have the opportunity to make a decision. You guys know what you have to review. The only thing I can say is that I believe that teachers need to be supported more. I think that we have 2 teachers in our family. I also have a large family like he does. We have 6 children. And it's tough. It's tough to drive every day. Can you imagine loading all your children up to take them to school? You know, it's tough. They would like to move here, and I would like for them to live here. And I'm willing to help you guys out in however I can with my construction experience. He's willing to do whatever you guys recommend to get this thing, which is in good shape, but it did have some hail damage. He's gonna repair that or replace the underpinning. But I sure would like to have them here, have them as our neighbors too. And they have already improved the property. So we have the opportunity to help teachers and a family that does good in this community. And I would sure hate to lose them. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Hi, I'm Cami Lobb. I do teach at the elementary with Mrs. Cardenas. I've known her for several years. Mr. Cardenas has taught 2 of our children, and he goes above and beyond, I would like to say, he's gone above and beyond to help my own 2 sons in his math classes. He goes above and beyond for all of his students, and I know that because he's taught my own children. And Mrs. Cardenas, in the same hallway, we have taught for years, and she goes above and beyond for the children, not even in her own classroom, but my students who she has not had, they love her just as much as if she has had them in her own classroom. I love them. I don't want to lose them at the school. It's hard enough every year. We have a very high teacher turnover, and we really can't afford to lose the good teachers that they are, and they would be nothing but a benefit to our community on the fort and continue to be such an asset to the community at the school and Brackettville in general. It just makes all the sense in the world to me to have them be able to stay here on the fort with the property that they have already bought and continue to be such a positive influence in our community and not have to go somewhere else. So please consider allowing them to move onto the fort.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I wanted to bat 4th, but I'm going to bat 6th. So, but I wanted to be batting cleanup. But anyway, I also work at the school. I work as a sub. It's my 6th year. And at the school, I'm basically known as Mr. Fox. So I'm Steve Fox. And I just echo what everyone else has said. You're the best of the best. I could go on for an hour, but I know you have to get on to what you have to do, but you have our support 100%.
Yes.
There's any other announcements? Yes.
Killed me. My name's Phyllis, and I'm Giblin. I'm from Unit 27, and I'm very familiar with the architect procedures and CC&Rs. This is a CC&R issue, is my understanding. It has to do with the age of the unit, not with the individuals. And I would love to see you here also. My suggestion to you, if it has not been done already, is to find comparables. There are other units on the fort who are older than 5 years old that have been moved on the fort. But you've got such a good support of your surrounding neighbors. I hope to see you as a neighbor. I'm in Unit 27.
Any further discussion or conversations? Yes, sir.
From what I understand, this is a age question.
I can't go into that.
Well, I'm
but
just saying,
yes.
I understand it's an age question, but if that is, and the trailer, could a engineer, building inspector, let's say, certify that the equipment is sound? Could that be a factor in your decision?
I think that that is a wonderful suggestion. I'm sure we will discuss that in executive session. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Do I have a motion, and do I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
All in favor? 10:58, we'll move to executive session.